Absheni, Dumelang, Eita, Molweni, Sanbona. Greetings. Thank you so much for continuing this learning journey with me. We're now on the second leg of our strategy for social enterprise, and the conversation is now going to be switching onto frameworks and models you can use to develop and or revise existing strategy for your enterprise. As stated earlier, we have set out for this particular module 2 outcomes, and we've already gone through understanding the role and definition of strategy in social enterprise organization. We're now switching on to affording you an opportunity to analyze the different strategy formulation frameworks and models that are there so you can select the one that will be most appropriate for your own social enterprise. Come along with me. As we seek to establish the position of the organization in the marketplace, we may want to be able to determine what's the better framing that we can work with. Michael Porter presents what is considered competitive strategy as an approach. We could be looking into that. Jim Collins comes with a orientation that says our business has the opportunity to move from good to great. Can we establish a strategy of that nature that transitions the organization from being just good to becoming a great one? Can we also consider working alongside Clem Santa and Chantel Ilbury in the games that foxes play? Here there's a trilogy that looks into ways in which the mind of the fox can be applied with its agility in the world of business. Then we may also want to take the framing that says the world is filled with everybody competing in the red ocean. What if we could consider identifying a blue ocean space where no one is playing and we set our own rules of the game right there? And the final framing that I want to suggest we consider is that which is brought through by A.G. Leffley, which is about playing to win. This is a framing that I believe could very well be one you consider for yourself, for your business, because after all, you're not playing to just be in the list of other social entrepreneurs. You're playing to make a mark. May you be the winner and your customers, society at large, benefit from your contributions. As you look at your business, it could take any one of the 3 scenarios. You could find that your business is developing a strategy because things are looking south, and therefore you could very well be nosediving anytime unless you take a particular approach to turn the tide. Another could very well be one where you're saying, we just want to survive. We have few months left in the year. Let's do the best we can so that we can breathe and be on the other side successful. Third scenario is one where you could very well be saying to yourself, we want to create an enterprise that will thrive through all circumstances and conditions. This being the case, you may very well want to go beyond, above and beyond what others are doing, so you stand head and shoulders above others, while at the same time looking for ways of pulling them to join in the winner's circle that you are a part of. Way back in 1979, Michael Porter at Harvard Business School came with an approach to strategy which really got enterprises to be looking into what the firm is doing in relation to the context within which it operates. He identified those five forces as being central to it all, that there is rivalry among existing competitions. Each one is wanting to eat the other's lunch, breakfast, dinner. And therefore, that fighting is a very critical factor because you need to decide how you will survive in the dog-eat-dog environment. While thinking about that, what Michael then began to reflect on was a consideration of what could be the bargaining power that buyers may have when they rally together and they approach an existing enterprise. We tend to see this when stock fails are applied in our country, and being able to go to wholesalers and negotiate better prices for themselves. On the other hand, you also need to be considering what could be the bargaining power that suppliers have on the operation of your enterprise. Well, ESCOM has shown us just that, the bargaining power that the coal mines have in their delivery of coal as a key essential ingredient in the generation of power for the country. While thinking about what's happening with the suppliers and buyers, you may also want to be able to look into what could be new entrants that threaten the survival, long-term survival of your organization. This is what took Nokia out of the pedestal when it wasn't paying attention to what was coming from others who were learning from it. Finally, the fifth factor that Michael Porter suggests is that of the threat that is posed by substitutes to the products on offer and the services on offer. When you're thinking about that, you may very well want to be able to look into the sustainability of your business. How will it adapt as things keep shifting so that it is not displaced by organizations that you may have been doing business with just yesterday? So, Chantel Ilbray, together with Clem Center, way back in 2001, got us thinking like Foxon. And they say, as you running your business, you'd want to be able to consider two factors: control and certainty. You may have control or not, and you may be certain of the future or not. When you look at the interplay of certainty and lack of control, you will need to understand the rules of the game. In a space where you do not have certainty and also are without control, their proposition is consider key uncertainties that may influence your business future, as well as formulating scenarios that may help you to navigate the future. Our country has gone through many of those, and you can choose what may be there, starting from the Montflair scenarios that were developed way at the tail end of the 1980s to where we are with Ingelamity right now. In a space where you are not sure in terms of certainty, but have some control, you then have some options you can take in formulating an appropriate strategy for your organization. A sweet spot is where you have control and certainty, whereby decision making becomes easier. Now, obviously, you know for a fact that the world in which you operate is not one where everything is plain sailing. Therefore, what is presented in the matrix by Ilbray and Center is for us to have an appreciation of the rules of the game, key uncertainties and scenarios, options available to us, and then making decisions. Business is about making decisions and following through on those decisions taken. Following through a decade later, Chantel Ilbray and Clem Center presented what I consider Foxy Thinking 2.0 and really has 10 key questions for consideration. The first 6 are really looking at strategy in various scenarios. First and foremost, look into your context that takes us back to the understanding of the environment. Has the game changed in the industry within which you operate? Where is it heading? And how are you faring as a player in the industry? Second question you're going to be looking into is your scope. What is your playing field right now, today? How do you want it to be able to expand or contract in the light of the developing context and the resources that are at your disposal? The third question is one where you're looking at who are the players that can most advance what you do or retard your progress in your strategy. And then how do you go about handling those players who are for you, against you, indifferent about you into the future? The fourth question relates to the rules of the game. What are those rules? What are they likely to be as they govern your strategy under the whole variety of scenarios? The fifth question addresses itself to uncertainties. It says, what are the key uncertainties that you could have a significant impact on how you play your game and divert your attention, even divert the cause, either positively or negatively? The sixth area of consideration is one of scenarios. If you were to be looking at this on a game board, ask the questions, what are the possible scenarios? And where would you want to position yourself in relation to those scenarios? There will be about 4 of them, and we'll share them in the next segment. Assuming that business is being played on a game board, and you have an interplay of competitiveness and the market conditions, you may be able to then determine how do you play the game. If the environment is not highly competitive, but you've got a broad market that's there and you want to play in it, it could very well be what they consider a fool's paradise. So you're employing many resources, whereas while the market is positive, but you're not competitive yourself. You could also find yourself in a situation where your enterprise is not competitive and the market is not even favoring you. Well, in that, you're going to be fouling up beyond any recognition altogether. So you don't want to be playing in an environment where you're not competitive and the market disfavors you. If it is to be that the market is disfavorable towards you, but you have some competitive expertise, you may want to continue with it, but it's a big grind. Is that something you want to continue and consider? The proposition is one that says, consider your competitiveness and the favoritive condition of the marketplace. When those come together, you're bound to have gold medal performance. You may want to start evaluating where your business is at right now. Are your conditions favoring you? Is your enterprise positioned competitively in the marketplace? Either one of those will help you to determine where you sit in this matrix. Having considered your position in the business game board takes you now to a point of considering key tactics you can adopt in order to be a winner in the end. So therefore, we start off by looking at conducting a SWOT analysis. We look internally and say, what are our strengths and our weaknesses? We look at those juxtaposed against what's happening externally in terms of immediate opportunities we can take advantage of, while being mindful of the threats that may sabotage the progress we're seeking to be able to achieve with the opportunities that have shown up. Having done the SWOT analysis takes us to a consideration of what options are within our span of control that we can use to improve the scope of our game and ensure that we perform in a manner that affords us the opportunity to excel. Having got those options clear, decision making is going to be a lot more informed. What options right now can you turn into key decisions? And what are the initial actions that are associated with each of those decisions so that the future is one that you are shaping yourself? Finally, you gotta be able to ask the question, what's the meaning of winning for you in the next 5 years? Maybe you want to draw it closer and you say, in the next 18 to 24 months, what's your definition of winning? And express it in measurable outcomes. This is critical because when you are able to measure what you do, it becomes easier to be able to attract people towards that, including investors who can see the progress that has been made from inception of the idea to growing of the business to where it is right this moment. INSEAD professors W. Chan Kim and Renee Mabone presented in 2004 a framework that has helped us to be able to look into business having the opportunity to disrupt or be disrupted. We can stay in the red ocean where we're competing with the existing market or transition into creating new markets altogether. In the red ocean, we want to beat the competition, while in the blue ocean, we want to make the competition totally irrelevant. In the red ocean, we want to capture more of the existing demand, while in the blue ocean, we want to create new demand altogether. Finally, what they present is that in the red ocean, we want to make a trade-off on value and cost, while in the blue ocean, we disprove the trade-off of value versus cost. We'll go into a little bit more detail around this because we would want to encourage you to consider the space within you to operate and identify blue ocean opportunities. In order to be able to identify that blue ocean opportunity, you will need to be able to take action in 4 specific areas. The first is to look at which factors that the industry takes for granted you should eliminate altogether. The industry that you've chosen to be able to go into, what factors do they take for granted? And so then, if you eliminated them, they would just create more space for your resources to be applied better. The second factor for consideration is what factors should be reduced well below the industry standard, which then frees up even more resources for you to do the work you want to do. The third area for consideration is what factors should be raised well above the industry standard so that people begin to look up and say, hey, there is something that we should have been having all this time and nobody was paying attention or giving it to us. The fourth and critical area is the creation side. Which factors should be created that the industry has never offered up until now? When you look at all 4 of those, value creation comes as you take care of the pain that comes through elimination and reducing, and you create value through the raising and the creation aspects of your business in the marketplace. Now, I invite you to take some time looking into your business and consider which of the factors that your business, your current offering, the industry takes for granted that should be eliminated. Spend some time just reflecting on that and write it down. Next, I'd like for you to be able to consider which factors as your business and your current offering should be reduced well below the industry standard and yet offer value to your customers. Work through that. Thirdly, I'd like for you to be able to consider which factors in your business and the current offering, whether it is product, service, or solution, that should be raised well above the industry standard so that people who are consumers of your solution find value. Finally, go wild. Be imaginative, innovative. Which factors should be created that the industry has never offered before? But you see the gap. Get into that space and put your ideas on paper. Next, you put them into action. The consideration of the 4 actions that afford you the identification of the blue ocean opportunity give credence to Gary Hamel and C.K. Prahalat's assertion that strategy, therefore, is a stretch and it is about leveraging the resources you have so that the organization has an advantage in the marketplace. The fourth and final model for shaping strategy is one that is put together by A.J. Leffley together with Professor Roger L. Martin. And they really ask 5 key questions. And you may want to be answering the same 5 questions as you reflect on your business. What is your winning aspiration? Link that back to the purpose conversation we had in Jeff Henderson's book, Know What You Are For. So, what's your winning aspiration? The second question you're wanting to be able to ask is, where will you play so that you win? Choosing the geography, the location, the sector that you will play in will make it such that you're not wasting any of your energy on things that do not matter. Having determined the where to play then calls on you to consider behavioral factors. How can you win in the selected market space? Having identified the how takes you into consideration of what are the key capabilities that your enterprise needs to be able to have in order to win and win consistently. Finally, any organization that is worth their name will have management systems that will endure way beyond the existence and the tenure of its leader or the founder. So you got to be asking, what are the management systems that will be required in order to ensure continuous and consistent winning? Remember, we said at the start of this module, the key factor is to be able to have sustained superior performance. This becomes possible when you have clarity of management systems and application of those systems to support your strategy. So let's take a little bit of time and delve into your winning aspiration. A.J. Leffley together with Roger Martin say, in order to develop a great strategy, you've got to first clarify what is the purpose of your enterprise? What is your mission? And then consider what is your winning aspiration, your desire long term. The term winning may mean different things to different people. So your first step is developing a strategic understanding of exactly what winning will look like for you and for those who are going to be part of your enterprise in future. Having decided on your winning aspiration, you gotta ask, where will you play in order to excel? 5 key areas for consideration: your geography, your product type, the kind of products or services that you will be able to offer, the customer segment. You're not gonna win everywhere if you have all kinds of customers. So what type of customers do you want to be targeting as you set up your enterprise? The fourth consideration is the distribution channels. How will you be able to reach your customers? Will you go direct? Will you have an intermediary? Will you work through retail outlets? What are you going to do? And finally, you got to be able to think about the value chain. What part of the value chain will you be most involved in so that your contribution makes the distinct difference? Having determined where you want to play, now you want to ask, how will you win? It's a very important question because it really seeks to be able to be sure that you have the right mechanism to make your winning possible in your chosen market segment, in your chosen geographies. You gotta be thinking about the working culture that will favor you and do the things that will give you the necessary competitive advantage. How will you win there? And go into the marketplace with clear indicators of the things that the market considers as being of value. The fourth and second last question you want to be asking yourself has to do with capabilities that you will need in order to succeed. Essentially, you're specifying the range and set of activities which will enable you to win where you have chosen to play. You will map these out as key competencies which will then enable you or underpin where you play and how you play in order to win, your choices that you've made in those areas. You also want to be able to consider how those capabilities will combine and reinforce each other so as to generate an enduring advantage for your social enterprise. You will recall that we spoke about the fact that an organization is without strategy when there are inconsistencies and incoherencies in the delivery of the work or the products and services that the customers are looking for. So your final question will be looking into what are the systems, structures, and key measures which you will require in order to support the choices that you have made. You will need to be very purposeful in designing those systems because they need to be favoring the work you're seeking to do. They need to foster and support your measurement of strategy. And they will help you to tell whether you are winning in the area you want to be winning in and you're still staying on purpose versus just pure profit. When you've got robust and workable management systems, they will enable the execution of strategy. Later on, we'll spend some time looking into strategy execution, and there will be a couple of methodologies that one will bring through to you. Consider the terminology: objectives and key results. When you have answered the 5 questions and answered them very, very well, your business is well set to be able to fulfill the objectives for which it was established. May you answer the questions and answer them very, very well. So, playing back to you, we've looked into the foxtail thinking as it comes through in the proposition by Chantal Ilbury and Clem Santon. We've looked at the 5 forces that influence strategy coming through from Michael E. Porter. We've also considered the 4 actions that you may need to consider for the implementation of the Blue Ocean Strategy framework. We wrap this consideration around frameworks and models with the 5 questions that help you to make strategic choices presented by A.G. Leffley together with Roger Martin in Playing to Win. The winner in you is waiting to pick up the gold medal. May you play to win. It has been a pleasure and an honor for me to put together the module as I've shared it with you right here. I want to believe that you will want to spend a little bit more time reflecting on your strategy, looking into the clear definitions of strategy, what it stands for, and how it is going to distinguish your business from any other. But also looking into the models and frameworks for strategy formulation. When you are clear about your strategy, the tactics you adopt should help you to succeed in your venture. I wish you green lights everywhere, success in everything you do. Pula Nala. Plenty coming your direction. Blessings to your business and those you serve. Thank you very much.